Hello and welcome back to the Perpetual podcast. This is how I will be doing things from now on this podcast. I really wanted to come on here and talk to everybody today, and just kind of tell you the situation of what's happening in my life and generally why I am doing this podcast. As you can see, the setup is a little different. I've actually, you know, upgraded. I've got a microphone that's like a good microphone instead of a shitty snowball I got when I was 16. Not to mention that snowball is bad. It's a fine microphone for anybody. I've just upgraded a little bit. I've got the green screen. It's not set up perfectly. I'll give you that. It is hanging from my ceiling, so I don't know how you feel about that. But yeah, I just want to come on here and talk for a little bit about why I'm doing this silly podcast. Um, and yeah, so I mean, the amount of ego that a person has to have to start a podcast is insane, right? Why the hell would anybody want to listen to me? It doesn't make any fucking sense. I am a history major with a bachelor degree, and I have not done anything with that. I am constantly, chronically online. Uh, I'm depressed a lot of the time, and overall, I mean, I'm not really any sort of special of a guy. So why the hell would anybody want to listen to this podcast? I don't know. Maybe somebody will, and if they do, that would be fantastic. Otherwise, I guess I'll just speak to myself for I don't know 45 minutes. But what's the point in doing that? So what's going on, right? I you know, why the hell am I here? Well, I'll tell you why. Shit is going down in the world, and I don't know. I think that it's kind of like a level of sentiment that I have towards you know the years that have passed by that I want to talk about what is happening now because it's like throughout my childhood everything was peachy keen, things were great. I didn't have too much struggle. I really didn't have too much of a too many problems. I maybe I was a little angry, but who isn't when they're a kid? So I mean this YouTube channel. I mean you guys might know what it is. You might not if you're coming here for the first time. I mean, I'm interested in politics and history and all sorts of things, video games, as well. But really, I mean, I think it's valuable to talk about what's going on right now so that we can look back and finally remember the things that, you know, I used to and you used to care about. The things that are different about how I feel now versus when I was a kid is that I feel like most people now in my life kind of expect something of me, whether that be financially, creatively, emotionally, or what have you. Whereas if you're a child, you get away scot free with just being a creative little blob. Um, and now as I'm well, entering my mid 20s at this point. I mean, I'm 23, so I'm now getting to the point where I have to sort of get my life together. But I don't think that I, as a person, am prepared to do so. I don't know anything about anything. I really don't know what I'm doing with my life. I've wasted a lot of years, I think, pursuing things that haven't helped me, um, especially Career wise, I ended up working for a company that, it's not a bad company, but it's like it has nothing to do with my history degree. It has nothing to do with my passions for life. And I'm not going to mention that company by name or anything. And I don't really care if people from that company watch this and are like, what the fuck, Steven? But, it's just not what I wanted to do. And if somebody wanted to do that thing, great for them. I'm glad that you found what you wanted to do and you're doing it. Um, as far as my own life goes, though, it's not what I wanted to do. And it's still not what I want to do. And I still have a little bit of time to kind of reinvent myself and get away from that sort of thing. And so, if any of you are out there listening to this, like, hey, uh, that's a great sob story. Maybe you should go fucking do something about it. I am working on it. I am trying to work on it. I'm trying to get the courage to actually stand up for what I want to do and actually do something that is going to make me fulfilled. Because right now I am not fulfilled in the slightest. The only thing that's really keeping me going is my wonderful girlfriend and the fact that, you know, others have it worse than I do, which is not, the girlfriend is great, but that second point is not something that you should base your life on, right? I shouldn't just feel fulfilled because I'm doing better than others. That is not something that I want to be, that's not what I want in life. I want to achieve some of my goals, and some of those goals uh have just kind of gone by the wayside so far, and yet I still feel like they're out there and it's possible to achieve them. But is it possible for me? It's hard to tell, because I'm now getting to a point in my life where it's like, am I too old to be malleable enough to get into the things that I want to get into? I could get into some things, but I can't get into others. For instance, I'm already through college. I could go back, and that's definitely something you can do, but it's not something that I have the drive for right now. It's not something that I really want to do, and I don't even think it's something that would help me at this point. And I think really my goals, I'm sure some of you listening to this right now know who I am, and you know what my goals are. I mean, I've talked openly and avidly about politics and how I want to run for office someday, and how I have a lot of intriguing ideas that I think that could really help people if they were just given a breath of air, you know. I have things that I like, that I think that I could do good in the political realm, by acquiring an office such as a representative district, or even a senator or a state senator or a state representative, or even local government, city council. There are things that I think that I could achieve. It's just hard to get to a place where I know how to achieve those things. And I'm sure some of you out there listening to this, whether it be my friends probably that are making fun of me on Discord right now, and I know who you are, or whether it be a random person, sometimes I feel like I've already failed myself by going down the path that I have and not actually achieving any of the goals that I've wanted to achieve for so long. And it's hard, first of all, to find out actually what you want to do, because it's great. I can say my goals are, hey, get in politics, but what's the first step? What's the first goal in that tree? You know, I don't know if anybody's played Hearts of Iron, but it's like I'm going down the decision tree, trying to figure out what to do to get to the right outcome, and it's just not working. And I'm choosing all the wrong things. You know, eh, and I'm just researching the wrong things to get to where I want to be. And even if I did research the right things, would it be worth it? at that point because if I got to a place where I had achieved something, where I had achieved getting into politics, say I had become a member of the House of Representatives, say I had gotten that position, would I actually feel fulfilled? That's a large goal. There's not that many representatives, um, and it's a hard thing to get to. What would happen if I got to it and then I hated it? I would have wasted a lot of time, money, effort, resources. And somebody who also had the same dream might have been swept under the rug in favor of myself, who now has abandoned that goal. It's not only an aspect of me getting what I want and then not liking what I wanted. It's also I have taken this chance away from somebody else, even if I had succeeded, which is the hard part. So I think that realistically, I mean, I'm 23, so anything could happen, but I am just a guy. I'm just a guy who comes home and he watches YouTube and he plays video games and he goes to work. And then I talk to my girlfriend and I hang out with my friends. And that's really my life right now. And it's very repetitive. And most days are pretty much the same. And if you ask me to pick out a day in the last 3 months that I found that was particularly different, my only answer would really be one of the holidays, like Christmas or Thanksgiving. But I couldn't tell you out of any of the last, I don't know. This actually could reach back even further than 3 months, but I could tell you that the only days that stick out for me right now are the days that I have failed at something. And even those days still feel like a blend, a mesh of all of just days that don't matter. Don't They haven't had any effects on my life. And I guess it's just hard knowing that there's nothing that I can do to get those times back. Uh, and then I, of course, will also say that, it's not like they're entire wastes of day. I did gain something out of those days. But I guess that's the point, right? Um, I gained money, for instance, if I worked. I gained relationship status with my girlfriend by hanging out with her. I played with my friends and I got enjoyment and fulfillment from that. Um, but at the end of the day, I haven't moved towards any of my goals at all. And I don't know if that's just a symptom of, you know, the sort of economic style that we're in, that you should be pursuing your goals and working towards them. Or is that just something that's me related? Is that something that is originated in my mind? Am I going crazy over something that I shouldn't be going crazy over? Am I finding out that I am, in fact, the odd one? Do other people think that, man, my life really at this exact moment doesn't have that much oomph to it? It doesn't have, uh, I guess, the goal behind it to achieve larger goals. Like am I actually working towards what I am doing by just having these inadequate days, or am I actually just doing nothing and this won't matter in the future at all? That's kind of like what's been on my mind a lot. I recently went to therapy. Um, I've been going to therapy for like 3 or 4 months now. And it's gone down the amount of times I've been going to therapy, but that's not a problem because really, what can a therapist do about existential crisis, right? That's not something that, someone can change. That's something I have to work through and solve on my own, which sucks because I'm just a guy, just a person that exists in this world, and everybody else exists around me. And I have to continually think about all of the problems that I am thinking that exist or actually do exist. And I have to differentiate between those things every single day, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, that's what's been going on with me. Anyway, this podcast is something that I've wanted to do for a long time because I wanted to talk about things like that. And I think that talking about those things is not only going to help me, but it might help somebody else too. I think that, self help books can only help you so far. I think that some of these influencers that are talking about grinding and success and all of this shit are really just symptoms of the overall economic and social terribleness that has been occurring. For instance, Gary V. I don't know if anybody's heard of Gary V. I don't mean to diss Gary V, but you know his his kind of attitude towards life is sort of the pull yourself up by your bootstraps thing, and that's fine for somebody that has already succeeded, but it's not fine for the millions and millions of people that can't actually succeed because of social inadequacies, mental inadequacies, economic inadequacies. I mean, this is all something that can't be solved. This is something that is existential in our society. This is something that is fucking over people. For instance, I mean, I think that, for instance, if you were born in a poor city to a single mom to a bunch of bad things, right? Uh, you don't have the same opportunity that Gary Vee probably did. And I don't know Gary Vee's story. I'm just saying he either got lucky or he was born into a position where he could make something of himself. And even if you are born into that position, that doesn't mean that you are already inclined to do that. For instance, I am born into a good family. I'm born into a middle class family. I mean, I'm not poor, I'm not wealthy, but I'm not poor. So, you know, I sure we've had, we make homemade food, but we live good. We have chickens and I have the ability to have three monitors. I have the ability to do this, podcast. I have this microphone. I have better things than a lot of people, but at the same time, will I achieve my goals just because I have those things? No. And it's not because I'm not working hard. I am working hard in my own way. And I think a lot of people are working just as hard as me and not getting anywhere, just like me. And I think that's okay. I don't think that it's, if everybody's successful, nobody is successful. And that's unfortunately just the way the game is played. I'm not saying that's right. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying that's what it is. I feel almost guilty for not taking the opportunity to try to succeed in some meaningful aspect because I was placed in a position where it's more possible for me to do that thing than somebody who wasn't. So I guess the guilt of only being with myself and still not having the courage, I guess, to leap forward into a new dawn on a new day and say, hey, I've carved out this little slice of life for me. You know, I can't say that I have achieved anything because I haven't. I mean, not people will look at me and be like, "Yes, Steven, you've achieved a bunch. You've graduated from college. You have a girlfriend. You've achieved a lot." What drives me is none of those things. What drives me is the fear of failure, which is not a great thing to be driven by because it's not like I'm being given, you know, water on a 5K, right? It's more like I am being whipped by a master, you know, and that is how I feel with the guilt behind me that it's whipping me through the streets until I succeed. And that is not a good way to live. And that's not the way that I want to live. And I guess part of that guilt also stems from, you know, I could help somebody if I only succeeded. If I if I in my elevated position socially, economically, if I succeeded, I could give back to the people that also are struggling to make and carve out an existence for themselves. I often think about some of my friends who've lost people. Um, I also think about myself losing people. For instance, I lost one of my friends when I was, still in high school, who committed suicide, and you know, there's a lot to be said about that, but it's also um, not something that I can do really anything about. I you know I went I went on a like charity walk a couple of years in a row for that kid. Um, and just to show support to his mom and his other friends and family and stuff. But at the end of the day, I don't feel like I committed anything to preventing something like that happening in the future. What I did was I showed support, and I think that's all you can do from a position like I am in. I don't have the money to create a suicide prevention center. I don't have the money to, and it's not even just about money. It's also about status. I don't have the status to do so either. Uh, for instance, if I were Mark Cuban or Bill Gates or someone, these people found these massive companies to help people, and I'm not saying that Bill Gates or uh, Mark Cuban are perfect people. I'm just saying that they have succeeded in some way of life that allows them to help somebody else. And if I were to become a politician, if I were to succeed at my goals, then I might be able to help somebody too. And I think that's what I want out of life is just to help somebody. And I know that's a grandiose ideal. Not everybody is given that chance, and I don't think that it should be imparted upon me. I'm not begging for that. I just think that if I were to succeed, that's exactly what I would do. And that's the first thing I would do is help somebody else. Like for instance, I go, you know, I go okay, me and my girlfriend, you know, we love each other very much. One of the things that we often do is we go on, a date or whatever. But it's not really a date. It's just one of those couple things where we're just walking around shopping together, right? It's nothing. It's insignificant to everybody else around us except for us. It's significant to our relationship and how much I love her shows by us going out and doing these random things. These things that wouldn't matter. We go to PetSmart, right? And our local PetSmart has cats for adoption, and these cats sometimes have been mistreated, sometimes they've been um, beaten, sometimes there's nothing wrong with them, sometimes they've just wound up in a shelter. Um, for instance, none of these cats are probably going to be put down or anything like that. They're all probably going to be adopted. But I think what you might consider is that if I had the power to help these cats, then even more of them could easily get um, to shelter and to safety. If I were rich, I could. Not even if I were rich, just if I were in a position of power where I could make something like that happen, I could go save all the cats. I could go put them in homes. I could help with that process. And I'm not saying that it's not something that doesn't already happen. I'm just saying without the success of my life that it would have to be there to start something like that, I would need to have already succeeded so that I could help somebody else. And it's not just about cats, it's about anything. Mark Cuban with his company that reduces drug prescription, with Bill Gates's cancer research. And I'm not saying that Bill Gates is a great guy. I know that there's a lot of problems with Bill Gates. I also know that there's a problem with billionaires existing. I'm not saying that there's not. I'm just saying that there is power behind people. And I'm not saying that you have to be a billionaire to help everybody. I'm saying that you need to be someone influential so that you can help somebody so that they can help somebody. If you are influential, if you are a person within a position that has power, you can actually affect the world around you. And me in a position small as this is not something that can help in a meaningful and capacitive, like a meaningful capacity, at least in my mind. And I know that some people will disagree with that statement. I know that some people will call it callous, some people will call it cruel. I think that maybe I'm just the weird one out on this one, but I don't think that a person can go and do something that can genuinely affect things in a massive swath. And that also might be an argument for collectivism. I'm not going to say that it's not. If everybody does one good thing, then all of the things will have been, you know, everybody will be helping towards helping those things. And I'm not saying that that's wrong. I think that that is the correct answer. I'm just saying that I don't think that happens. I think a normal person doesn't go and help people most of the time. Even I am selfish in some regards. For instance, if I, see a homeless person, sometimes I will give them money. Sometimes I will not. It depends on the circumstance. If I were an influencer, I could go easily help 100 homeless people. If I were a politician, I could create a bill that might be able to help homeless people. But as a person, I cannot alone act in a way that would meaningfully change the life of a homeless person. And I'm not saying that you can't help homeless people. I'm not saying that at all. I think that you should help homeless people, and I think that you should go and do things that might help them. Work at a food kitchen, work at a homeless shelter, and you don't even have to do any of those things. If you just give them $1, that would be great. That is more than the average man, I assure you, is doing. And and not average man as in male, average man as in person. Um, I think that maybe I'm just going insane, but I think that it would be valuable if I could affect change in a larger fashion than one person is able to do. And I think by succeeding at life and actually doing something that would be meaningful to the world around me, I could one day help a bunch of people. And that is what I want to do. So, out of pure selfishness, I want to be successful so I can be selfless, if that makes sense. And that is what is going on in my mind right now. So, yeah. Anyway, I don't really know what else to talk about today. I guess that was just all that was on my mind for the day. If you guys want to hear more about my day, I mean, I really didn't do much. I just worked and did chores. Um, and me and my girlfriend are gonna go get Chipotle later. So, I mean, I guess that's something. Um, yeah. Thank you all for watching. I mean, I really hope you enjoyed me and my spiel. It was kind of, a little bit of derangement mixed with a little bit of, I'm a little nervous since I'm doing this podcast again, but I really hope that you guys enjoy it. And I want you guys to leave some comments, and I'd appreciate any feedback. Maybe somebody can help me kind of set up my stuff better. I don't really know what to do with my microphone right now. It is just sitting on my chair in front of me, and I am just keeping it stable with my legs. So I hope that you enjoy. Um, Maybe next time I'll have a little bit better of a setup. I just thought that this would be a good first opener startup. Um, yeah. So thank you for coming in, and I really hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching and listening to me spiel on and on about the inadequacies of life. That's what this episode will be called. Um, yeah, I don't really know what to say at the end of this. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment, like, and subscribe, all that shit. I guess I don't know. I'm just a guy. So yeah, cool. Bye. I guess.